Well, thank you for having me and thank you for inviting me, Usama, to this really incredible conference to uh, remember Asma Jahangir. And I would be remiss not to mention that Asma Jahangir was the special rapporteur for human rights in Iran when she passed away. And when she held that mandate at the United Nations, it was really welcomed. And, the Iranian community, the Iranian human rights community was really inspired and looking forward to, the years of work that she was going to do with that mandate. So I'm really honored to be here to speak at a conference remembering her. And, the incredible work she did on human rights in Iran. And I have to also take this opportunity to really encourage the audience, especially lawmakers who would be watching this, that we really do need Pakistan's voice at the Human Rights Council within different United Nations mechanisms to uphold human rights, especially the legacy that Asma Jahangir left as a voice trying to document and hold the Islamic Republic of Iran to account for the human rights crimes it has committed and continues to commit. So I really look forward to the engagement of Pakistani civil society and the Pakistani state on this issue. In terms of the work on digital rights, I have to also say that listening to someone like Iman previous to me, really critically interrogate social media and internet laws in Pakistan is very inspiring, and it kind of highlights the fact that we do not have this space in Iran to sit in a civil society event like this to interrogate laws. There are some very similar and much more draconian laws in place in Iran, and the space for interrogation is very limited, if not none, in terms of how it upholds human rights, how it even upholds rights within the Iranian constitution. So I hope one day to see something similar as this conference in Tehran. In terms of the work that we do, and I have been doing at Article 19 and with a number of other digital rights experts on trying to ensure that what is done outside of Iran within, Western companies, American companies, upholds, the right to freedom of expression for Iranians inside the country. There has been, numerous levels of things we do. I know Nagat has been probably following some of the issues that have been brought forth to the oversight board regarding, policies related to content moderation and practices of content moderation that need to be improved to really help empower Iranian voices in Iran. Of course, that's something that has been worked on. The Oversight Board just closed its submissions for analyzing, the right for Iranians to express the very popular protest slogan, Marg bar Khamenei, or Death to Khamenei. Which is, of course, a very popular and common protest slogan all across the protests for the past 5 weeks in Iran, and generally during protests since, the late 90s in Iran. Interrogating these things to understand, what needs to be contextualized for the Iranian context. Of course, MENA has certain policies on incitement to violence. And so, how they can ensure that context and, cultural and linguistic realities apply to these global policies. This is one of the things that we really encourage social media companies to abide by. A number of other things have also come up. Recently we had the US government, after 10 years of advocacy, lighten the toll of US sanctions that limit technologies in Iran. And so during the 2013 elections in Iran, the United States passed a sanctions exemption to allow for any kind of personal communication internet services to be allowed in Iran. Despite the fact that services are forbidden to be allowed in Iran because of sanctions. And of course, this was not enough. A number of internet services were blocked for Iranians. And of course, this has been one of the biggest criticisms of US sanctions, which is how they aren't often implemented to target, the perpetrators of human rights crimes, but they're implemented sometimes in a way that harms innocent Iranians. And so for the past 10 years, a number of digital rights advocates like myself had been working to expand that exemption. And so recently, with the start of these protests, the incentive was there, and the US Treasury Department expanded the exemption and has allowed for a number of internet services that were previously blocked, especially cloud services like Google Cloud platforms, to allow its services to work in Iran. Unfortunately, the way that some of these companies, especially Google, has been implementing this change has been very slow, if not non-existent. And so there is a lot of push to ensure that these services are allowed. I mean, Google has, opened certain services like Google geolocation services. They have been really pushing one of the VPNs that they've created for Iranians. However, it's unfortunately not enough. And the core services that really have been important to, Iranian internet infrastructure and technology have yet to be made available. And so there is really a need for these companies to step up and see how they can support Iranians. And of course, financial sanctions still exist on Iran. And so, companies like Google, like Amazon, need to be providing financial credits for Iranians so they can be able to access these services that often need subscriptions or financial payments as well. And so this is kind of a push and ask that we have been making of companies to really center the rights and abilities for Iranians to access the internet. So I'll just leave it at that, unless I know a lot of people love to talk about Elon Musk and Starlink in Iran, but in case no one wants to talk about that, I'll leave my comments there.